Jay Carney began his Wednesday briefing with a jokey montage of his facial contortions that he made during Tuesday's hearing. This was done to mind the deep love that exists between the pliant media and its companion White House. It's what's done between lovers and a tiff to remind each other that they're still in love. Will it work? Does he even need it? Watch Piers Morgan, that chap named after a landing dock for boats, go flaccid when faced with Jay.
That is really
How are you going to move on now and restore perhaps faith that some Americans have lost this week in your openness and honesty?
Well, I'm not sure. Again, you're concocting scandals here that don't exist, especially with regards to the Benghazi affair that was contrived by Republicans and I think has fallen apart largely this week.
Jay Carney, you've probably been the busiest man in Washington this week, and for that reason, if nothing else, I genuinely appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to me tonight.
Piers, I was glad to do it. Thank you for having me.
Well done, Mr. Morgan. I haven't seen a stronger follow-up question since paper or plastic. If you had any less cojones, you'd be singing castrato for Pope Sixtus the Fifth. Again, we're witnessing a media that's lost the muscle it once had due to an adversarial relationship with the White House. Resistance creates strength. Ask any gym rat. But now they've gone softer than that spokesman from Pillsbury.
Oh, boy.
Here's Bob Woodward on Morning Joe, which is not a sex act.
I have to go back 40 years to Watergate when Nixon put out his edited transcripts of the conversations, and he personally went through them and said, oh, let's not tell this, let's not show this. I would not dismiss Benghazi. It's a very serious issue. As people keep saying, 4 people were killed.
I see another book in the works for Woodward.
So, excuse me, Bob.
Oh, you didn't finish your mouth. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Glad you were awake, though. So Woodward compares Benghazi to Watergate. That's a direct shot at the modern media. I mean, that's like Willie Mays showing up at a Yankees batting practice, shaking his head and saying, you guys suck. The president was right when he said there is no there. Not about the scandals, but those who are paid to cover them. The media has to wonder why the only entity the White House cares about is Fox News. For a non-Fox reporter, that means you're a pushover. Obama can have you anytime he likes, and he's about to have you now. Be sure and wear that nighty he likes so much. And don't talk. He hates that.
I apologize for interrupting.
That's okay, Bob.
Whenever Bob Woodward comes up, I just go up. It drives me up a wall.
But you should love him.
I never loved him.
If it wasn't for him, there would be no Carter.
Huh?
If it wasn't for him, there would be no Carter.
Well, oh, I don't know. I mean,
yes, because, I mean, he helped bring down Nixon, which brought in 4.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see. Yeah, I suppose you make that connection. But Bob Woodward has had a history of writing books that are somewhat questionable in terms of their sources.
All right. Let me ask you, KG, when Woodward compares something to Watergate, which is his baby. I mean, that's what made All the President's Men. That's got to mean something.
I think it's significant. I mean, Bob doesn't like it. I get it. And he's not a fan of the man. But I think, like Bob, you said, this is a book in the works. I think it's significant. If you look at the polls, the Gallup polls that are out, the American people do care. This does matter. It does have resonance, along with the IRS scandal. So I think this is something this administration should be genuinely ashamed of. And the problem is they act like spoiled brats because it's never their fault. It's never their responsibility. It's always someone else.
Good answer. I'm glad you were paying attention. DP?
You're welcome.
When a press secretary tries to be self-deprecating, does that work? I mean, the little funny pictures?
Well, I think on a day like Tuesday, it probably was not the best move because you have to have a lot of goodwill built up to be able to pull that off. And sometimes the press is just not in the mood to joke around. You got to let them get it out of their system. So you can be funny, but maybe that wasn't the best timing. Yeah,
and Eric, when he's joking around with the press, isn't he basically saying, hey, be nice to me?
I guess. It's always like when you try to be funny, you're not going to be funny. The harder you try, and that was probably a fail, especially in the midst of 3 scandals. Can I do something? Jay, come on my show. I'd love to talk to you on a one-on-one. We do one-on-one interviews on Cash. I'd love to just give you a couple of minutes. We'll clear the air, ask you a couple of questions that Piers probably didn't ask you.
All right.
Well, with an invitation like that.
I mean, my gosh.
Yeah. Wait for that invitation to be accepted.
Didn't you talk to him on the phone?
Bring some donuts.
I talked to him. Why not? How bad can it be?